Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and I am of course back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Kirby Superstar Ultra for the Nintendo DS. So last time, we have basically just managed to accomplish the arena, and despite I did have some bit of troublesome here and there, but in the end though, I think we actually did that pretty okay. Not the best run ever made, but either way though, that's how it is when it comes to the arenas in this case, and that specific point's worth noting for. So today, for this particular episode, is the fact that we're going to be moving on to the next game in the lineup in terms of Kirby Superstar Ultra, which appears to be Revenge of the King. King Dedede demands revenge. He will finally regain victorious over his old nemesis. King Dedede wants revenge. Careful. He's serious this time. Now, as you can see on screen, on the top screen portion, it did say 5-star difficulty, much like Milky Way wishes. And, because of this though, the Revenge of the King is one of those newer games introduced in terms of the forms of the remake of Kirby Superstar. And for what I can gather is the fact that the Revenge of the King is actually like a combination of, let's just say, Revenge of Meta Knight and Spring Breeze. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, it's the fact that I believe this takes place after the events of Spring Breeze has ended or something. But basically, King Dedede wants a vendetta against me, or in this case, Kirby in either way. So as a result, we have to stop him once again. And this time around though, he might able to have some new sleeves on him this time. And especially noticeable, as you can see on the actual, the Stormy Mountains, that we got ourselves the returning boss from the likes of Kirby's Dream Land 1. So that'll be pretty interesting to able to see what that familiar foe is all about. So, but either way though, let's get to it with Revenge of the King. And the first stage we're going to be heading to is Purple Plants. So it's no longer going to be Green Greens, but usually the environment itself is pretty much exactly similar to Green Greens from the likes of Spring Breeze, except the fact that everything else is all in purple this time as opposed to green. So that might be something a little bit interesting in terms of the forms of how these things actually look like and all that stuff. Also, some of these enemies have been get a different makeover. So, in this case, or specifically, some of these enemies do have their different amount of appearances, even though the only exception being Waddle Dee and Waddle Doo. So, yeah, some of these enemies do look a lot different than what we're used to ever since in Spring Breeze. So, but yeah, the goal remains the same. So basically, we have to go through not 4 stages, but 5 stages this time, which is actually a callback to the forms of Kirby's Dream Land 1 for the Game Boy. And what do I mean by that? Well, we might able to actually come across into the exact same bosses as we fight through, including the forms of the never before seen boss fight that was not found in the original Kirby Superstar game. And because of that though, I'm very curious to see how that's going to turn out to be. And also, we got ourselves some very familiar faces for those of you who haven't played, let's just say Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, or Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, or even especially noticeable with, I would say, Nightmare in Dreamland for the Game Boy Advance as a remake. And basically what that means is that we got ourselves some familiar mini boss fights from Nightmare in Dreamland, which is basically a remake of Kirby's Adventure, but on the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, we actually get some stuff like, you know, that particular elephant-looking mini fight, as you saw, and it's actually pretty cool. And also we come across into familiar ones later on, though, which, that maybe seems by much of it, though. So either way, though, let's go ahead and continue things on for this point. So, obviously, we're no longer going to have to require the forms of a lot of exploration for this point this time around, because we can just simply manage to go ahead and, well, complete the game as normal. So, except the fact that, as you notice, is the fact that Revenge of the King is actually a lot harder compared to the forms of how it does it in the, Spring Breeze. And because of this though, there are a few reasons that why this mode or this game is actually a lot harder compared to Spring Breeze. First of all, enemy encounters, and second of all is the fact that most of these boss fights might have their different color variations in particular. So, for instance, in the first boss, as you saw, is, of course, Whispy, but now it says Whispy's Revenge. So this means it's a lot harder compared to the forms of the original Whispy Woods. What do I mean by that? Well, he still managed to able to actually still stand there and do nothing at all, but in addition to able to drop out the red apples, like always, but now they're able to actually drop us these worms. And we do need to be very careful of these worms because it doesn't matter if you either dodged it or even blocked your attack. Basically, you will get it if you manage to block. So, yeah, keep that in mind and you have to watch out for that. So, there we go. That pretty much takes care of the first stage in Revenge of the King. So now let's move on to the second stage known as Illusion Islands, which is basically like a nighttime version of floating islands from the likes of Spring Breeze. So, but ultimately though is the fact that some of these bosses remains the same in depending on what stages you're going to be entering into, except for stage 4, because even then we'll point things out whenever we get into it. So from now on though, it always kind of reminds me of the Encore mode from Sonic Mania Plus, except the fact that, well, you know, the bosses in Sonic Mania Plus are pretty much exactly the same, depending on what mode you're going to be playing through. Well, in terms of other differences in Encore mode, is of course different color schemes on certain zones, as well as the forms of the much more harder special stages. So, yeah, I thought I was able to mention more about that. So, but anyway though, a few things I want to explain about this is the fact that today's day is of course the 20th of January, in this case in 2021. Not much else to talk about, I'm afraid. I would like to mention about more things here and now, but I might able to actually save it up until whenever we get on to the next episode in terms of the forms of this particular Let's Play, which is of course, what I'm gonna do is the fact that I'm also able to actually just focusing on Helper to Hero afterwards, because either way though, I'm also able to actually go for these particular game modes in a chronological order. Well, some of them in particular, so yeah, not much else to say. Oh, Jesus Christ. Usually, also is the fact that if you really want to find yourself some healing items so desperately, well, turns out you get out to only pick up the forms of those smaller foods, which, for instance, I got, you know, the tomato right there, or the small regular tomato, which doesn't give me that much health, but the only item you definitely do need, if you keep on getting hit multiple times, is of course the actual maximum tomato, and that way, you would be able to be safe from there. So, of course extra lives are still a thing, so you could expect able to actually just trying to get the most ridiculous amount of lives as you could, because again, this particular game mode is actually a lot harder compared to the forms of how it does it on Spring Breeze. And except this point and onwards, it's the fact that whenever you get onto the final few games in Kirby Superstar Ultra, it gets ridiculously hard as you progress. So, but honestly, it's not too bad and not too noticeable for this, until when it gets to the point until the final game in this entire Kirby Superstar Ultra. And also another one which might be time consuming to able to do so. That's what it appears to be. Well, we'll mention more about this until God knows whenever we get into that specific point. So, but either way though, let's go ahead and just destroy those blocks, and hopefully we should able to proceed. Oh wow, those familiar apple. Oh goodness gracious, they're about to get me. And also those particular, you know what the forms of the previous games that we played in terms of Kirby Superstar Ultra? Normally that we have to deal with the forms of those particular cannons which aim at one direction, but in terms of this particular game, it's now aiming on multiple directions, and also it just shoots out really, really fast in terms of that, you know, particular cannon shot. So a bit either way though, but honestly, oh, we have ourselves the Fire Lion, which apparently makes a comeback ever since in, well, Nightmare in Dreamland and all that stuff, which, it seems pretty cool though, especially, well, eventually we'll able to get ourselves the fire ability once we're able to toss that over, and apparently I'll get beam again, so that's a bit odd. Despite the fact that I was getting able to put up with a mixed copy abilities roulette thing, but otherwise we didn't seem to get it for whatever reason, so Oh well, but at least we're nearly at the end though. So in this case, the next boss fight in the stage, which is of course Lololo and Lalala, but this time it says Lololo and Lalala's Revenge. And basically the only difference is this time around though is the fact that, well, the arena itself is slightly changed compared to the forms of how it does it in Spring Breeze. And also to top it off, there's going to be some Gordos that we definitely need to dodge. So yeah, that's the only thing that's different about it. So, but either way though, this boss, some of these bosses, defenses-wise, has actually got slightly higher in comparison to the forms of the original boss fight counterparts. So, for instance, in Lololo and Lalala, these guys can manage to able to get the highest amount of defense, whilst unlike the normal fights between the two of them, basically they just somehow manage to become a lot more easier. Well, mind you, because this is on 5-star difficulty out of, I want to say the maximum amount of difficulty in this entire remake, it appears to be 7, so what do I mean by that? Well, we'll point things out whenever we get into that particular stuff, once we finish up with, that another new game is introduced in Kirby Superstar Ultra, which is, of course, Meta Nightmare Ultra, which, we'll show it off at some point once we finish up with Help of the Hero, because again, I'll mention more about that by the end of this video. So either way though, that concludes Stage 2, Illusion Islands, and now let's move on to possibly the trickier stage, and that's what appears to be Crash Clouds. Which apparently is like an alternative version as in, Bubbly Clouds from Spring Breeze. Ah, jeez Louise, I did not expect that. But at least I can able to actually avoid that, no problem. So, but even then, no, that seems the case. So, I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this is that, well, I've already explained about the forms of I pretty much got myself almost every single Monkey Ball games at this point. Well, this means all these versions included. Another thing I did manage to pick it up, or especially order something, and that was the fact that with this obscure Niku N-Gage, which is basically it's like a mobile game console, apparently. Why? Just for curiosity's sake. And also because it actually contains the Super Monkey Ball game on that particular handheld phone console, and it's more accurately like a port to Super Monkey Ball Jr., but with lesser amounts of levels. Because I'm pretty sure that what I've researched on the forms of well, the amount of levels in terms of the Super Monkey Ball series. What I've noticed, if I'm guessing correctly, is that obviously Super Monkey Ball 1, the original game on the GameCube, does manage to able to contain, I would say, a grand total of 118 stages. And I'm pretty sure in Super Monkey Ball 2 that it usually contains like, I don't know, actually, because it has been a while since I actually did manage to play Super Monkey Ball 2, for what I've noticing this from the start. And basically that game has multiple amount of levels, including some of them from story mode and stuff like that. So yeah, that must have saying a lot. And obviously Deluxe obviously contains 300 stages, which usually combines Super Monkey Ball 1 levels and Super Monkey Ball 2 levels all at the same package, but in addition to those deluxe levels that were supposed to be existent until Monkey Ball 3 was going to be in development, but of course it's been cancelled back then. And also, Super Monkey Ball Jr. does manage to got amount of, well, let's just say, how many stages they've got? 74 stages, although I may be wrong, just because of how fat there has been. I think it's like 74 stages in Super Monkey Ball Jr. And for what I've researched on the N-Gage version of Super Monkey Ball Jr., it obviously contains like 50 stages. Well, I would say 50 because, well, unfortunately, that game does not have any extra stages at all. Although, mind you, compared to the forms of Monkey Ball Adventure, well, at least the GameCube and the PlayStation 2 versions. Those two variations of Super Monkey Ball Adventure does have lowest amount of levels, like 49 stages in total. Which I was like, that's a bit lame. And, well, at least on the PSP version, does manage to include a whole bunch of levels, thanks to the forms of the exclusive stages, as far as I'm aware. But why can we get all that like this on, let's just say on 2 versions of the game, on the PS2 and the Nintendo GameCube? So I have no idea why that, well, obviously they just managed to able to put limitations as it is. But I digress. Oh, jeez Louise. Almost gonna get died right there. And, during the course of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, oh yeah, Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll does contain 120 stages, which I did manage to research on it. And, also in Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, obviously it contains 100 stages, and Step and Roll contains 70 stages, and, Super Monkey Ball 3D contains 80 stages. And, Banana Splits, it might actually be, 90 stages or something. I don't know, because it has been like a couple of days since I actually did manage to come back into that game. Because, well, as far as I can tell, it's probably because, well, I just got a bit frustrated during the course of, advanced level difficulty. Because I just got almost to the point whenever it gets like a tad bit frustrating, especially noticeable, you now need to rely on environmental objects, which that might be seems a little bit more obsolete or something. So, anyways, so let's go and face up against with Kracko, and as you can see, he's now in a different color. Like he was now in dark purple, meaning that it's Kracko's revenge, obviously. So either way, though. Definitely a little bit harder and definitely a little bit more tricky and difficult compared to the forms of how it does it in the original counterpart for sure. But either way though, we'll try our best if we're able to just... I think I'm gonna get hit a lot. So... although, I'm not exactly sure if beam might able to work. So, yeah, it doesn't work half the time. But on the upside is, though, is that I've somehow respawned onto that bonus room somehow. Completely filled to the brim with those healing items, and, well, unfortunately I don't get the actual 1-up back, I don't think. So we'll just go ahead and just, you know, try to deal with the grand wheelie right here, so we can able to actually expect this much. In fact, that's actually another returning mini-boss ever since in Kirby's Adventure. At least as far as I recall that correctly, so either way though, that might be... seems quite a lot of it though. Can you just spawn in another minions on you? Well, not the minions from the Despicable Me series, because I just don't care about that. I know I have my own opinions, but I'm sure most people already have their own opinions too, but it's just not my kind of thing, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and try this again for a second attempt. I think the best strategy for this is just keep on, like, disable your copy ability, and then, use your, projectile in order to able to actually just, well, I have no idea why I just grabbed that beam again, but, although using the copy abilities might able to actually get, like, less strength compared to the forms of the actual projectile, I have to be honest here, because, either way though, that usually in harder challenges, that, I really highly recommend you able to do, like, sending that projectile right back at him, so that way it'll do quite a bit of damage. So either way though, let's go ahead and just hopefully try to finish him off. Oh, I just missed him. Come on. Oh, he's almost down. But still, he's actually ridiculously fast though. And there he goes, Kracko's revenge. Let us grab that 3rd star, and, well, we should be good to go for this point. So... hells yeah. So now let's move on to stage 4, which is Mount Ddd Sky. And what I've noticed is the fact that, what the heck? Some cannonballs are about to be firing at us. Oh, it's probably due to this guy here. Which is actually the returning boss fight from Kirby's Dream Land 1. And immediately after that though, we get into that cinematic cutscene where basically... while Kirby was actually on the warp star, that if you think he's gonna make it, but turns out though it didn't, because due to that, you know, that cannonball over there, just managed to able to fire at you know, the warp star, and it seems, conveniently enough, is that much like Milky Way wishes, we ended up on the starship. That seems interesting, especially consists of how the fact that obviously we've already experienced the starship from before, ever since in Milky Way Wishes, but now we're going to be riding onto the starship again, except now we're going to be taking on the forms of Kabula, which is basically it's like the actual returning boss fight from Kirby's Dreamland, except the fact that rather than just using that particular shooting projectile kind of power-up, I don't know what you could call it that, ever since in the original Kirby's Dreamland, but this boss fight can get pretty tricky if you're not careful. I mean, usually the only time it's incredibly difficult is the amount of, like, cannon shots that you have to dodge, including those weird bullet bill looking obstacles they have to avoid, and that deals a lot of damage to mine. So yeah, definitely one of the trickier fights in the game, but you know, I just have no idea what I'm just truly saying to this point right about now, but either way, sorry for the little bit of awkwardness going on around here, because I have no idea, and I just simply died as soon as that boss fight got a little bit of health left, and as a result, I have to start all over again. God, I hate when that happens. Especially noticeable, it's almost like a close call during the course of during certain portions throughout. And believe me, it just always just happens to me. Whenever I just somehow... If you think you're trying to able to actually finish off those boss fights, no problem. But somehow I just instantly managed to get screwed over again, due to the forms of, like, he only has one bit of health left, and that just gets a bit aggravating sometimes, which, to be honest here, that does seem the case, so... But hopefully we'll try this again, and hopefully we would be able to just, try to finish him off completely, which, I highly doubt it I will. Come on, he should be down by now, there he goes. And I think that pretty much takes care of stage 4. Because that's literally how this goes. So we somehow managed to go ahead and now entering the final stage, which is the revenge. Great, King, Kabula has been defeated. What should we do? You mean Kirby is coming here now? Relax, Great King, you must stay calm. Right, well, here's what we do. Kirby will be ours. So here we go, folks, onto the revenge stage, and as you can see, differently from the likes of Spring Breeze, is that, you know how the fact that in Spring Breeze, it actually takes you straight onto the actual boss fight, against with King Dedede himself, during the boxing ring? Well, oh yeah, first, test him, go, my servants! So yeah, basically, it's the fact that, oh yeah, we got ourselves Mr. TikTok, ever since any forms of in, well, Nightmare in Dreamland, and even especially, I'm pretty sure he's also appeared, during the course of, Kirby's Adventure or something? Maybe. It has been, quite a few days, or quite a long time, since I actually did done. Oh, Great King. He had an easy time. Well, we'll show how he likes the next. So, basically, it has been quite a long time since I actually done a Kirby marathon since, again, 2018. Even though, despite we didn't do one in 2019. Although we did done one from 2020, which is, of course, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, of course. But, aside from that, though, it has been quite a few, days or something, so... Anyways, we have the next fight, which is, of course, Grand Wheelie again. So, even then, though, but hey, at least we can take him down, like, no sweat, with the forms of Mike ability, and all that jazz. Unthinkable, he beat that one too! Kirby's approaching here, your majesty. Cursed pink lump, I can't believe it. Great King, pull yourself together. So anyway though, the revenge level is that obviously we now come across into a full-fledged level. Even though, despite the fact that we actually come across into, well, and that's what I get for able to being tongue-twisting. Anyway though, occasionally though, that you will come across into mini-boss fights so that... Good lord! What's wrong with me today? Okay, let's try this again. Occasionally it's the fact that we would able to come across into mini boss fights every once in a while, which either way though, it can sometimes feels a bit, well, up for the challenge, or it can be like tricky and difficult, or in some cases easy if you manage to able to utilize, you know, Kirby abilities as you're aware. Third one's the charm. Get him, Pom Pom. Fight! Oh yeah, Fan Fan is actually the name for this particular elephant-looking mini-fight, so one pointing out. And also, she managed to able to got himself a different color, which as opposed to the ones in the first stage in this Revenge of the King. Basically, she was in like gray or plum kind of color. Again, I do apologize for the actual commentary gets a bit drawn out at points, or even especially noticeable it's like a huge missed opportunity whenever I just keep on mumbling around like an like a psychic hedgehog idiot, but oh well. Great King, he beat Plum Plum too. Oh, alright, pal, my cleverly. Oh, yes, your majesty. Oh, yes, your highness, I mean. So, again, I do apologize for that dialogue error, but even then, you have to forgive me for that part, but hey, at least I did try. But, it's just the fact that the text itself is so small, whenever I did manage to able to try to record the commentary and stuff like that, which I know it sounds a bit inconsistency, but either way though, that's how it is when it comes to forms of trying to capture the actual, you know, HD, you know what I mean. Alright, so let's move on to the next room. Enough, Kirby, face twin fire lions. Go get him. So this should be interesting, and especially noticeable about the fact that, wow, unfortunately I didn't get myself the, my copy ability, but luckily I can able to actually utilize one of those projectiles, so that way I would be able to just trying to able to get like a good amount of damage between the two of these, well, fire lions, as far as I'm aware, and hopefully we should able to take them down for good. So much so for that anyway, even though that, my allied companion almost gonna get, you know, get killed or anything like that, but luckily he managed to able to revive themselves by utilizing a different, ability of some sort. Oh no, he beat everyone we have. Can anyone beat that guy? Well, truth is though, King Dedede, we are unstoppable, you say, so, Great King, Kirby made it here, but what do we do? We've done for only one option. Okay then, I guess it's my turn. Brought, Great King, you can't do it! And then, basically, it's the fact that, well, yeah, don't go! And he was thinking, I'm sorry. Great King! So yeah, it looks like that he's trying to able to make, Dedede managed to able to be trying to go ahead and, trying to fight Kirby and stuff. Which, I'm sure he won't be that much of a challenge, at least from my experience anyway. So, anyway, let's go ahead and, bust out these little star blocks, and then, well, assuming if we don't get hit by those whole bunch of Waddle Dees between those walls and all that stuff. But, hopefully we were able to make it for this point. And also be very careful, because again, if you die on any room, you will respawn back into the beginning of the room. So, anyways, let's go ahead and take him down, and he's pathetically easy. So, yeah. Now let's go ahead and approach onto, well, let me just do a fire dash, and, oh, we got maximum tomato too. You made it here. Now, arm yourself. And from here, we get ourselves the hammer from the start. Our grade will be settled at last. So it looks like that King Dedede, oh, meet my powerful secret weapon. My brand new Dedede hammer. Okay, so here we go folks, on to the last boss in terms of Revenge of the King, and this is Masked Dedede, which is basically a much more harder version of King Dedede boss fight for sure, and because he has a ridiculous amount of powerful strength, and also to top it off, you know what those particular electricity fence that is usually built all around it? And basically, it's the fact that, oh yeah, what's interesting about this is, although, kind of think of it though, is the fact that, if you ever played, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, that is actually gonna be a reference until Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where basically that will be King Deddede's final smash. And I'm gonna say, it looks really, really badass. Especially noticeable how the fact that it gets like a really, really wicked, cinematic scene when King Dedede just managed able to become masked of himself. But ultimately speaking, once you grab the hammer, then you would able to deal with this guy no problem. But it's just the fact that, you know, the amount of strength you're able to pull this off is ridiculously high. But anyways, once again, once you defeat him, then he's obviously got chucked out of the sky, or tossed, well, just usually get kicked out of the castle. And somehow Kirby saves the day once again, actually. Which, I do apologize for that particular tongue twisting again, folks, I do apologize for that, so... And once that particular game was over, well, basically it shows us the actual cinematic scene, where basically King Dedede just managed to, well, walk on this long stroll of path. And basically we get ourselves, once again, a very, very quick staff credit sequence, which, because of this though, there's actually still more to come from this point. And every once in a while is the fact that some abundance of Waddle Dees might able to join along with King Dedede, and King Dedede was like, I think I'm about to give up, for able to dealing with this pink puffball or anything else like that. Which, even then though, it might be sounds a little bit more obvious, because now that your revenge didn't work out so well, King Dedede, thanks to the forms of my powerful hammer, well, in terms of trying to able to press directional pad up and B at the same time, so that way it'll deal a massive amount of damage. Oh, I see that golden Mario statue, which, either way though, it does look pretty cool. And also, you see that Bandana D was actually appeared in this screen, as you can see. So yeah, that was before when you can able to actually play as him during the course of Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which I was like, that was pretty awesome. But anyways, once we're done with that, we're able to unlock the next game in the lineup, which appears to be Meta Nightmare Ultra. And this appears to be more accurately a spiritual sequel to Meta Nightmare from the likes of, well, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland for the Game Boy Advance, which is pretty awesome actually. So either way though, what I'm going to do is the fact that I'm also able to save Meta Nightmare Ultra for later, because I'm going to end off this point right here, and join me next time on Let's Play Kirby Superstar Ultra. It's that we're going to be hit on to Helper the Hero first. And because of that though, we'll just deal with that first before we dive right into Meta Nightmare. So, I know it seems a little bit strange for that particular order, but that's just how it is when it comes to the forms of that specific stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later, fellas.